All right. So we're looking at care and selfishness as today's review assignment. Share screen. Again, interesting answers. This negative selfish thing that we know we need, but we think is wrong. So, general here. I am a selfish person, right? A fourth of you are saying yes to that. And I'm curious about the yes to that if you feel that as a negative or positive thing. So I'm curious, does anyone here in this Zoom, did anyone put true? And can you answer that question?
I put true.
Okay. And do you think of that in a negative or positive way?
I think that of a positive way
Because?
because sometimes in order to care for your own mental health or physical health or emotional health, you have to be selfish. And it may neglect some other people, but you have to make yourself the first priority.
Absolutely. Um, this idea too, if you have to consider, well, should I be selfish or not? This concept of when I am by myself, am I good? And if your answer is yes, and you're struggling, then you need to be by yourself. You need to shut out the world that is making you not okay and just be within yourself and to take care of you. And just like Vanessa said, I as well would say I'm also a selfish person. I'm a selfish person, um, right, in general, but I'm also this same selfish person that flew back for 2 months to take care of my parents. But I can only do that because myself was so good and I had such a buffer of good that I could expend that extra. I relate this a lot of times to, people drowning. So if your friend or your sister or whoever was drowning, the first time they're drowning, you might jump in and save them, right? But if they drown 4 days a week, I hope you will stop going in to try and save them. Maybe you'll start maybe staying on the boat and throwing a life preserver out. Maybe call for them because if someone keeps drowning and you keep jumping in with them, the best that's going to come out of that is two people drowning. So, what is the good of two people drowning? You're trying to be noble and being heroic, but is it worth your life? Is it worth you being okay? Especially if it keeps happening again and again and again and again. So, again, this kind of trigger word of selfishness that nobody wants to admit to, maybe we need to change the way we think about this word. Because if we look at the next one, selfishness is a negative quality. Most of you say yes. And that makes sense. If you think selfishness is bad, you're not going to want to be selfish. Even though hopefully you're recognizing selfishness is a bit of being able to take care of yourself, to give yourself what you need. And if you have never practiced giving yourself what you need or knowing what you need, why would you be good at it? If you're only attending to everybody else, yes, you're a loving and honorable person, but are you drowning? Because if you can't help yourself, then you can't help others. Now, notice the difference here. To be able to take care of yourself, you have to have a bit of selfishness. This you understand. Now, I changed the wording a little bit to say a bit, but you get it. You get it. It's again, it's not an either or. When you are struggling and you're good on your own, you need to put effort into saying no. But when you're awesome, you can accept yes. So, where you are in that continuum is going to kind of help you figure out how to be, but it's not an absolute. Okay, now this is really interesting. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. So I'm basically asking you about what you think care is and means. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Okay, can I have some verbal that you guys can see this pretty well and read? Even if you're on your phone, I know some people
Yeah.
struggled. Okay. Can I have a second confirmation, maybe from someone on a phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So, and again, this thing we think we know, but we can't describe. And if we can't describe it, do we really know it? So, how do you know you're cared for? I'll let you read. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling here, but I really want to show you a contrast real quick. Notice these first two answers. They are written by the same person that did the next two answers, right? How we are cared for is how we show care. Notice there's a question mark, food, food, as someone growing up in an Italian house, right? Food was love. And then we wonder why we're all overweight. And I say, we definitely. If you show love by food and you accept love by food, then you're going to eat when you want to feel love. It all connects. Let me go back and scroll through this a bit more. Again, lots of showing it and feeling it, but not much description on this person. Have to believe. Give you two more scrolls. Details. I'm mostly reading these with you guys, but I think about this one and how this can change and how we don't know what we don't know. And it takes me personally back to, living in this house and thinking that this is how people lived. And then I would go to my friend's house and it was like I was on TV in a movie. Like I would walk into a house and there was like classical music playing and the mom came with an apron and I was just like, right. And then they had it was dinner time and the dad was at the dinner table and everybody was about to eat together. And I was like, why are you eating? It's like people eat together. Like in my house, you just scooped things in a bowl and everybody went to their own rooms and ate by themselves. Right. So again, this idea of knowing what care is. We think we know until we reach that next level. And if we don't reach that next level, then we think that's what it is. This lessness. Ah, when they reach out first. This is being, right? I have everything I need to survive. And again, is there a difference between surviving and thriving? They miss you and they tell you. Affection. Okay. Now let's look at how you care for others. Right? I think about this. How do you know what they need? And how do they know what they need? I think again, if I look at my two parents, my dad is just money. That's how he knows. He provided for us his whole life, and he gives us money as care. But he doesn't recognize that something needs to be done with that money in order for care to take place. Right? That money on the table can't actually care for anyone. And then I think about my mom, And my mom is someone who will be 12 steps ahead, who will notice all the things you do and your habits and make sure those are all done. She'll make sure we're low on cereal, she picks up cereal without asking. Again, observing and offering. Two different types of care. Hmm. So some of you are answering this by not being selfish, right? Which would be the epitome of care. But are you good enough that you have extra to give? Finish scrolling through this last one. Help is key. Let's look at the last one, asking you to put care into 2 words. And it's okay, right? I like that. Someone put use the acronym love and attention. Attention. Support and loyalty. And it's interesting because when I see things like that, which are super valid, um, it makes me think that this person knows what not loyalty is. They thought someone had their back and they didn't show up and they disappointed them. And most of the time, what we recognize care as are all the gaps that we had. We recognize care by identifying our hurt, what hurt us the most, and then don't do that or try to do the opposite of that. 2 more scrolls. Thoughtful, nice, loving, kind, respect, support, understanding, physical and mental care, love, appreciation. I always, when I think of care, I think of 2 things, and I think of, again, pets and all these things that can't communicate with us, and I think of time and attention. Right? It's like the nephew or the puppy. They don't want 27 toys. They want to spend time with you. They want to play with you. They want a being. And the unfortunate part is that when you have nothing to give but yourself, you give yourself. But when you come into money and you all of a sudden you have extra and you're into goods, now care is giving people things and keeping yourself away. So trying to find this balance. Stop share here. Anything from you guys? Any thoughts on that? Anything click over? It's okay to just want to sit with it for a bit. You could chat if you'd like. Perhaps I could end things simply with this question. Have you ever really thought about care before?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Was there a certain situation or thing that brought it on?
Uh, well, making new friends now, it was extremely hard for me because of the relationships and friendships that I put in quotations in the past. Like, I was a very creative kid that didn't have a proper outlet. My school didn't have theater, we didn't have choir, we didn't have dance or a designated creative class. So I would tell stories and I would become characters and like quotation marks because my school had a lot of restrictions, uniforms, a lot of regulations.
Mhm.
But
my friends would like say, "Remember when Andrew did this and when she did that and when she thought she was this?" And I was like, I was a creative kid. And that kind of triggered on my social anxiety where I was seriously afraid to talk.
Mm.
Like I was always afraid like what I say will be used against me, no matter what the context I say it in.
So care, going back to what you're saying, was the opportunity to be who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine if we had the chance to be who we really were, and that was loved and accepted and appreciated. Not just, 20 pounds lighter or looking a certain way or with a certain car or whatever. But yeah, thank you for that share. Anybody else? Okay, totally fine. Um, Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If anything ever comes up later on that you want to chat about, feel free to get at me via email. I am pretty responsive there. So yeah, hopefully let this sit with you for a bit, observe, figure things out, and I'll talk with you more tomorrow. Bye, guys.